All right, and here we are. This is the Working Title Show with Zach Sams, and we are back. All right, we are back. This is the Working Title Show with Zach Sams, and was the second recording of 2026, or is this the third recording? I think it's second recording.
Second recording.
We are, it's February.
I know.
Can you believe it's
Wow.
freaking February?
No.
I can't. It's crazy. Anyways, but we're glad to be back. We got a great show and a great guest today. I'm very excited to hear about our guest and what he's doing. It's Chris Putnam, CEO. Is that pronounce that right, Putnam?
Yeah, Putnam.
Putnam.
Yep.
I never get the names right.
It's everybody misses
At
it.
least I have the letters almost right. Sometimes I just invent names.
We're batting 1,000 on that.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. Yeah. So Chris Putnam with the Dallas Express, CEO of the Dallas Express. Yeah. Which I'm really excited to have you on because I was telling you downstairs that I've been reading the Dallas Express for a couple years ever since I joined the MCBA, and man, it's a lot of fun. It's a fun newspaper to read. Do we call it a newspaper, or what do we?
Some people still do. I call it an outlet, but we still have this subtitle, the People's Paper. So people still refer to digital outlets as newspapers.
Well, I want you to tell us about the Dallas Express and give us some history. But first, let's talk about you and how you got to the Dallas Express. Because I'm reading I was looking at your bio here, and it doesn't sound like you were. When you start reading it, I didn't expect it to end at a news site. Yeah. But it says here that what I really want to know is what is the Global Golden Circle Award? Every bio I've read on you that this is mentioned from IBM.
Yeah, so I started my career at IBM, and I was on the sales side. And it's an award they give to the top 1% of global revenue producers for that particular year.
Well, that sounds like a good award.
It's one of the more prestigious the most prestigious award on the sales side of the business.
So were you selling software for IBM?
I sold everything. So I was assigned to the telecom industry, spent my entire career in the telecom industry and software and services.
Okay. Wow. Awesome. And how long were you there?
I was only at IBM about 3 years.
3 years, and you got the global.
Yeah, it was a weird situation. A lot of folks, wait their whole careers to get something like that, and I just took to it, very early on, and kind of had an instinctive knack for it. And
was there like a big account that you just stumbled into in a bar at the
I wish it worked that way. I had a number of big accounts. Bell South at the time was probably the biggest. Of course, that's all changed now. Yeah. And I really kind of what made my career was I was kind of, learning the ropes right at the time of deregulation of the telecom industry. And that's when all the competitive exchange carriers were coming out and everything changed, right? I mean, we got rid of long distance companies and people started plowing fiber in the ground. And because I was younger, I knew that industry. Yeah. And I eventually went to Perot Systems from IBM. Purposely, I always wanted to work for the pros, and Ross Senior in particular, for a lot of reasons, but foremost because he was basically the father of the IT outsourcing industry, right? And I just admired him personally, and so same kind of situation. I was pretty young. Most of the guys I worked with were a good 10, 20 years older there, and spent about 5 years there, and was fortunate enough to get to work with both Ross Senior and then Ross Junior in his time as the CEO there.
Wow, that's really cool. Me and Tyler, actually it was Tyler. He got me on their golf course, the Circle 9 over at the
Circle T9
at the Circle T.
Yeah.
What's funny about that is I remember, of course, when it was still a ranch. Yeah. And we'd go out there to do special training conferences and things like that. I have some funny Ross Perot stories from there. Not making fun of the man. No, sure. He's just, he's kind of a character in his own way. But I remember, it's so crazy what's happened out there in Westlake, and that property in particular.
I believe it. I believe that he'd be kind of a character. We went into his office there on the
museum.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surrounded by lions. Yeah. And I think there was like a rhino or something behind the thing, and they're like, oh yeah, that rhino like horned his son. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it has an original copy of the Magna Carta. Yeah. And then the same guy who sold him the first was like, well, I came across another one and he bought that one too.
He's quite a collector.
It's crazy.
He's got like a first century shekel and what was the Winston Churchill's tea set? And out there at that ranch, there's a cage of pink, like extremely endangered pink Himalayan doves.
Yeah.
And they
got all the doves.
And you're sitting at dinner and these doves are cooing in the back. It's just a cool spot.
Well, it's just really cool. They're, of course, seniors left us, but super patriot.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Gave so much back that people don't even know about. And I haven't seen or worked with Ross Perot Jr. in a long time, but same thing.
Yeah.
He just gives a lot back. And of course,
Amazing
I'm from Fort Worth originally, and so I got to watch all of the growth of Alliance and how important that's been to that community.
Well, yeah, I mean, what he did in the IT world is amazing, but what he's done in the real estate world is, talk about foresight and sports world, but foresight for the Alliance corridor.
Yeah.
To start that 40 years ago and to see what it's become is just absolutely.
Yeah, all the growth over in Tarrant County, of course, is that way.
Yeah.
It's all north and west.
Well, it's all the way up to Argyle now,
Yeah.
which is why we're thinking about moving to Oklahoma.
Yeah, right.
You going to go be a Sooner?
Chris, talk a little bit about, are we a 2-newspaper town again?
We absolutely are. So we're exclusively a digital outlet. Print, I think most people know, is a dying medium. Star Telegram's down to print in 3 days a week. It's expensive.
Yep.
And the ad revenue isn't what it used to be. Our readership is empirically, we have the data, more than the Dallas Morning News. We have 500,000 subscribers. That's a little bit of a cheap because we're free. We don't have a paywall.
Right.
Uncle Belos doesn't give things away for free.
Yeah. Well, I feel bad because Dallas is sitting here next to me. He writes a great column for the Dallas Morning News. It's one that I read frequently.
And your last column was really good.
Yeah.
I wrote about hockey, of all things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were recently sold to Hearst Media in New York City, so they're not Texas owned anymore. And at the time that they were sold, I think the last quarter they lost $30 million. And so our readership exceeds theirs. We spend a lot less money. And have national distribution through Yahoo. I have White House press credentials.
That's recent that y'all got those, right?
Yeah, last Q4 of last year. Yeah,
that's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah.
Let's back up a little bit because the Dallas Express actually has a pretty cool history. It's actually been around for a very long time.
5 years.
Well, I thought it went way back before that.
Yeah. Well, there was a Dallas Express that was
wasn't like the historically black newspaper.
Yeah, it was like the largest black publication in the entire Southwest, I believe.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you what our publisher's decision for leveraging that brand was, other than it probably had some historical brand equity.
Well, I assume that it, like a lot of newspapers, was failing, and Monty bought the name or the rights.
I think it was long gone.
Okay.
Decades gone, maybe.
So did he buy the rights, or did he just kind of reincarnate it, sort of?
I actually don't know. So if there was some brand equity there, I really don't know. It precedes me.
We'll have to follow up on that. So when you left Perot's, you had a startup.
Yeah, a company called Synchronous Technologies. I was in a group of guys. A lot of them were New Jersey based, that were also in the same industry. So we saw each other a lot. And at some point I just I wanted to take a chance on doing a startup, and we took a Series A round of funding. In I think it was about 2004. By 2006, we IPO'd, so it was relatively quickly. Tried to give as much of that money back as we could. So, we were hostages of venture capital community. And the really exciting story there was we IPO'd at about $9 a share in the middle of 2006. But our softwares and processes were embedded as part of the first iPhone. Because we were doing AT&T.com's, all their complex order management, workflow management, connective tissue, between basically your device and the network. In Apple, Steve Jobs wanted just a completely different user experience. You probably remember it still is. You go in, you buy a phone, you leave, tether it to iTunes, self-configures, right?
Right.
So our software did a lot of that because we were in the early days of online ordering. And so we went from $9 to $42 a share in about 6 months.
Holy.
And that ended up being the largest consumer device launch in history. We were a very intimate partner with both. You'll recall also AT&T had the exclusive. So they were the only carrier that had the iPhone, for the first couple of years.
You move quick. 3 years to get the Global Circle Award. 5 years at Pro, and then just a few years, $1 billion market cap.
It was pretty wild.
Exciting.
And then ran it as a public company for 12 years. And none of us that started that business had ever had executive management experience managing a public company as executive officers.
Don't let anybody tell you that the American dream is dead. That is
no. We went from
story.
0 to $2 billion market cap inside 10 years.
Wow.
That's exactly where the working title show is going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you go from there to the
I actually went
Express?
from there to the ski slopes. I retired for 6 years.
Good for you.
Yeah, a place in Colorado, and I was traveling globally. I was in basically every boardroom of every major telecom company you've ever heard of in the world, and that's fun.
Consulting and stuff, or
selling our products and managing the account relationships, customer relationships, and and so that's a lot of fun. It was, you get to meet so many interesting people, and my thing is I never really treated like a tourist thing. Like I embedded, with the people I did business with. And so you get the real local experience in a lot of those countries, but it's also, for most people who've traveled a lot for business, it's very taxing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It takes years off your life. And so I'd finally kind of had enough, and, I was just like, yeah, I'm done for a while.
So you skied for a little while.
Yeah, and I didn't have I wasn't looking to do anything else.
Yeah.
And our publisher, it's well known to everybody in Dallas, is a very successful hotelier, Monty Bennett.
Yeah.
And he founded the Dallas Express just because he got frustrated with the Dallas Morning News and the Star Telegram. He didn't think that they were, reporting some things particularly related to the city of Dallas and issues that he cared about in Dallas accurately. And, it was really kind of visionary, because when you kind of flash forward to where we are today, I mean, the media industry in general has made that full pivot.
Yeah.
From kind of particularly the legacy print dailies to digital and online. And, it's fractionalized now as well. And so he saw that, and he was really kind of a pioneer in that respect. It didn't, they did a great job of starting it for people that literally had not been in professional media before.
Right.
But it really caught fire in the last 2 years. And, some of that has to do with, I like to think some of it has to do with my leadership, but some of it also has to do with just the change in that dynamic.
Right.
I mean, we went from folks that were more right-leaning politically, or outlets that were more right-leaning politically, being shadow banned on outlets like Facebook and Twitter, and then that all changed. When Elon bought X, and then of course as I think Zuckerberg and some of these other guys, saw that
fell in line on.
Yeah, saw that things were changing pretty dramatically. They loosened up considerably.
It's pretty crazy how fast all that stuff changed from.
It was really quick.
They not only loosened up, they quickly jumped on the side of what they thought was the winning team at the time.
I thought it was fascinating just the inauguration to see, Zuckerberg sitting there with the president. And, I mean, Zuckerberg very publicly acknowledged that the Biden administration pressured them on a lot of COVID-related stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's for him to do that. It's interesting. Like when I started, January of 2024, they were spending money on various Facebook ads, booze, posts, etc. I'm like, we're done with this. Like, it's going to get us nowhere. We have almost 1 million followers on that platform, but they couldn't even get ads to go through, right? And now they write us checks.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So when you took over Dallas Express, what was the goal or the initiative?
Well, I'll tell you the reason I started was, again, just to create an alternative. Back to what we were talking about before the show, like this used to be a two-paper town, and that's healthy. It's healthy. Yeah. It's healthy to have different perspectives, and we fundamentally believe that what's happened in the media in the last 10 years in particular is it just went one way really hard. And in fact, last year, the public editor for the Dallas Morning News, he wrote a column acknowledging their left-wing bias. And our objective isn't to be a right-wing newspaper. We get labeled with that because the legacy media or the mainstream media just hates a new entrant, right? Particularly when it's being successful. And 90% of them aren't. I mean, that's just a fact. That's not politics. And so I looked at it, strictly from a business point of view when I came in. And, coming from where I come from and the people that I'm around, a lot of people were disenfranchised. They felt disenfranchised at least, by the way that some of our larger local, media outlets were covering certain things. And you could feel it. And people talked about it. You hear about people canceling subscriptions, and that's reflected in what's happened to both major local papers.
Yeah.
Star Telegram is owned by a New Jersey hedge fund now, purchased out of bankruptcy from a California company. I mean, they're as far away from Amy Carter as you can get these days. There's nothing Texas about it. They actually had a a member of the Fort Worth editorial board who is a permanent New York City resident, and the publisher's a California guy. So, and by the way, Hearst, who now owns Dallas Morning News, also owns Houston Chronicle, Austin Statesman, San Antonio Express, obviously no relation, and a number of other Texas outlets. Like most Texas daily print outlets are not even owned by Texas companies.
It's interesting.
That's a travesty.
So,
A lot of people that are here aren't Texans either.
That's fair.
Dallas is.
But I think
Dallas
like
has
you're
changed
missing a huge opportunity.
Oh, for sure.
Anybody you
before
talk to
Star
chooses
Telegram
out from here.
Well, again, from a business point of view, right? So I looked at it and I'm like, okay, so where are these disenfranchised? Where's this disenfranchised audience? You know what neighborhoods they are, right? I mean, Highland Park and in Fort Worth, West Fort Worth, they're all over the Metroplex, particularly in the suburbs. And that's where we targeted readership. And so that's where we targeted stories. That's where we targeted advertisers. And our thing is we do a lot of cultivating and, developing good sources, good credible sources, particularly in a lot of the local government, state government, now even the federal government. And because of that, we get stories that the other outlets just aren't going to get.
I definitely notice that when I look at y'all's, and I think y'all have a great website app.
Yeah, we have an app. Yeah, it's free as well.
It's real easy to just scroll through the stories. But I notice you'll have a lot of stories. You'll have a good national, group of stories, but you'll have a lot of local stories that I'm not seeing. And I'm kind of a news junkie. It's almost too much. But
that's really the unique value proposition. Yeah, that's kind of our secret sauce. And
when you look around, you see the same stories in all these different outlets. But I notice in y'all have a lot of stories I'm not seeing picked up anywhere else, and they're local ones, and they're good stories, and they're interesting because I think people are interested in what's happening locally.
Oh, 100%.
But where
and a lot of the
stories
stories that we investigate locally and then break, end up matriculating national. Like the biggest story we ever had was about the Republican congresswoman in Fort Worth who, wasn't in Congress for 7 months at the end of last year. And, we found her living full time in a retirement facility. And she wasn't casting.
We had a congressman who was missing.
Congresswoman living in a retirement facility?
Yeah. So that story.
I missed that.
Elon picked it up. And then every major outlet in the world, not just in the country, in the world. And it was Christmas week of 24. It was every cable news show. And, that for us was a big credibility boost. When people are saying, here's this right-wing thing. And again, we're really not. We're not trying to be the DFW Breitbart or Red State. There's plenty of that. We just want to be like the center-right alternative, to what we perceive are these other far-left outlets. And it's not even political because I always tell people our sacrosanct principle is truth.
Right. News shouldn't be political.
Well, and I think that sometimes too. I mean, I'm conservative, and I'm a longtime reader of the morning news. I think that if you look at the city of Dallas, Dewhurst is the last person to be elected to statewide office in Dallas County in 2010, and so. There are a lot of people that are on the left that live in Dallas County. There are more of those.
60-40 in the city of
Dallas.
Yeah.
So, I wrote this recently when I had my 100th column come out that I leave the Park Cities and go downtown, and I'm too conservative. And then when I come home, I'm not conservative enough.
That sounds right.
So, the regions changed in that, and I've talked about this for a long time. Dallas and Houston and Austin have largely seceded culturally from the state of Texas.
Houston actually has changed a little bit because
it's come back. So, but they're a strong mayor. It's a little different form of government too.
Yeah.
So,
but back to your two-paper thing, right? That's why it's important, I think, because what happens is
Harold
when you get
was
insulated like that, then you're pandering to that audience.
Well, there was a period when Schutz and Wolanski and were at the Observer. The Observer covered City Hall the best by far.
Yeah.
By far, they had the best coverage.
What's the latest on the Observer? Are they still relevant at all, or not really?
Not to be, but
still advertising the escorts and all that.
I don't really read it anymore.
They've done some good investigative stuff in the past. Some really good investigative stuff.
I mean, they really missed Jim. I mean, there were people that was must read. His column every week. I think.
You're seeing. I mean, you mentioned all these groups that are buying these papers. These.
They're
outside of Texas or whatever.
Or private equity firms.
They're buying, they obviously feel like there's something still there. Maybe they haven't figured out the secret sauce, but I mean, they're picking up these papers. So
it's actually
somebody
feels like there is money to be made somewhere. They're just trying to figure out how to do it. Or
it's actually survivability, and you guys finance guys. So like in the finance world, it'd be a harvest strategy, right? So with what they're doing, of course, is they acquire as many material or as many outlets at scale as they can get that are suffering financially, and then they consolidate, right? So they tear out all the SG&A, they tear out a lot of the reporting, then they share it across all those regions.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's one way. But
it's not about good news.
It's still it's to be clear, it's still declining.
Right.
But they can maximize the profit and harvest it. It's a harvest model basically at the end of the day. The Star Telegram was bought by a private equity company expressly for that purpose. They came in, they sold all the capital assets, the buildings, the printers. Like the Dallas Morning News sold the printers, right before their deal with Hearst, which I assume was, part of that arrangement. But they eliminated all that. Then, whatever profit is left, they're redirecting to their growth initiatives in their portfolio. And Star Telegram, perfect example. I think in the 90s, they peaked out at something like 300,000 plus subscribers. And in the Fort Worth report, did an investigative story, I believe it was about a year ago, saying they're down to 27,000 paid subscribers. And they're only printing 3 days a week.
Oh, wow.
So wait, you said in the 90s, Star Telegram had 300,000 subscribers, and you have 500,000?
We have 500,000. We're free.
Right. Well, still though, it's just eyeballs.
But our readership empirically is way higher than the Star Telegrams.
Right.
And then the other thing is, the folks that start digitally, not just us, but they're just more sophisticated, with the use of social media. And I always tell people that when you're talking about news or media these days, there's really two different businesses. There's your website business, and then there's the social business, and they're monetized very differently, and you have to approach them very differently. And so it's basically you're managing this kind of complex channels environment. And even within the social business, X is different than Meta, which is different from LinkedIn, which is different from Nextdoor.
So what about magazines and Texas Monthly and guys like that? Are they?
I can't really tell you. Because that's not my market.
Yeah.
But my understanding is they're not doing well either. Texas Monthly, I know financially is not doing well.
But it's a great publication.
Yeah, great publication. D Magazine, same
great,
thing.
yeah.
Where I used to love to just flip through a D Magazine or a
But
Texas
that's also
Monthly.
when there are fewer options.
Yeah. But I mean, I just something about.
Well, I was a newspaper reader myself. I wanted the paper.
Yeah,
It
about
took me a long time.
Everything being online, my
still
eyeballs are hurting. So
I still like a paper.
I do too. I like a paper and I like a magazine.
So who are
Nobody
your
else does.
readers? What age are they? Do they skew more to Collin County? Maybe I have some assumptions that you'll tell me I'm wrong about.
No. I mean, think of maybe your more affluent, educated markets or areas within the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex. And we have statewide readership. We even have national readership. I think I mentioned we have a national distribution deal with Yahoo News, so they carry us. But in this area, obviously, Park Cities,
But that's also the morning news best category.
North Dallas. Their principal reason people still subscribe is sports. And that's what a lot of folks.
I read the sports page first.
Yeah. And so, and then, of course, most of the Tarrant County suburbs, and even, Fort Worth. And yeah, it's everybody you can think of. There is a lot in Collin County, of course, Frisco, Plano, et cetera, north part of Plano.
Interesting. And so how do y'all monetize paper? You mentioned y'all were a 501c3, so is that common in newspaper
It's more
media?
common, like the Fort Worth report over there, which was that was, some folks in city leadership's efforts to do something similar to what Monty did over here. They didn't feel like they were getting a fair shake, from the 4-Star Telegram, which has not been Texas owned for a long time. That's part of the reason. You just don't have influence over ownership because they don't live in your community, And so, they're a nonprofit. There's a number of them. Yeah, they're out there.
Huh. That's interesting. I didn't know that. So are you from Texas originally?
Yeah. I was born here in Dallas, and then my family moved to Tarrant County when I was about 5 years old. And I grew up there and went to TCU, and now I'm back.
Go Frogs, me too.
Yeah, nice. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So what's your
I
thoughts?
got one there now.
Oh, good.
What are your thoughts on Dallas, like where we are today and where we're headed? Are you bullish?
I'm totally optimistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm absolutely.
Now, do you mean that about the region or about the city of Dallas? Because I think those are very different
Very
things.
different.
Agreed.
Well, that's a very fair point because I always explain to people that this economic miracle, maybe it's not a miracle. There's good reasons for it. But without the park cities, Dallas looks a lot different. And as you know, I think I saw you comment or some of your comments during the hero thing. We had the hardest time convincing people that there was a crime problem downtown. Everybody wanted to deny it and had their head in the sand. And we were one of the first to report that AT&T was leaving. I actually got a cease and desist from them.
Oh, wow.
That I think I'm going to frame. But yeah, again, we have good sources. But I think, but even Dallas, there's work to do downtown, as everybody knows. But I always say, probably the best thing that's going to happen to Dallas is the situation that happened in New York with the mayor. The financial community was already heading down here anyway. We had Goldman, we had the Texas Stock Exchange, and we just got to find a way to.
I wrote about that the other day, that sometimes teams win because they have real good talent, or other times they win because the other team's bad.
Yeah.
Chicago has bad mayor. Yeah. They have more debt than we do.
Even worse crime problem.
Right, and union problem. That Dallas has better fundamentals than some of these other places.
And geographically a good spot.
I saw and geographically a good spot. I saw the other day, this is the top market for singles. And you got all these young people. I think one of the important things in Dallas, even in the city, that you got the talented young people that go away to, my daughter's at Wake Forest, or they go to Duke or Stanford, wherever they go, they want to come back. We're not losing those kids to Atlanta or to New York or wherever it is.
Yeah. I have two 20-somethings in Uptown finance.
Yeah, right, yep.
And this might be a little bit of a misnomer because you got Uptown, Downtown next door to each other, which
that's an interesting conversation.
I think the vacancy rates of Uptown, Downtown together make more sense to talk about than just downtown, because it's similar, but
different.
But yesterday,
crime is the differentiator.
I saw a stat that when AT&T leaves, we will have the highest vacancy rate of any downtown in the country. And I'm thinking Cleveland, Cincinnati, all these northeastern Rust Belt cities that I just assumed Detroit had a lot of vacancy.
But there is crime downtown. Master Plan was downtown for more than 40 years. And we've moved, we're out, and a lot of that's driven by the opinions of my employees that's just not where they prefer to be.
Yeah.
They're not, I don't think any of them felt overwhelmingly unsafe, but they didn't stay late and they don't go out it's
in Uptown.
Yeah, exactly.
I lived in Uptown for 2 years, and I walked all over Uptown.
That's right.
I felt perfectly safe. And you cross Woodall Rogers,
totally different.
But over time, I remember. So I remember getting out of school. My dad was on the council for the groundbreaking of the I don't know. Help me. I'm terrible now. The Rosewood stuff. The man.
Mansion.
Oh, yeah.
No, yeah. And I remember thinking, this is a bad idea. I'm a junior high kid. This is a terrible idea. This isn't going to work at all. It's a bad neighborhood.
People forget that.
I was banned when I started driving in the 80s. I couldn't drive in what's now Uptown.
Oh yeah.
Because it was such a bad area.
Really?
And, my gosh!
It was one of the worst.
Terrible.
Really? Yeah.
The only thing down there was the
But Greenville was good.
Yeah.
And so
and then it went bad. Now it's good again.
If you think about things over time, you've just sort of flipped this. Downtown was good. That's where Texas OU everything happened, and Uptown didn't exist.
Yeah.
If you look over, a 100-year period, maybe this is just kind of normal.
You would think with Uptown being such a success that it would bleed over into downtown, and you've got a great building with 18.
Well, it did with the Clyde Warren. That part of downtown that's on Clyde Warren did great.
The arts district is good.
And you would think that would, but that's my point. It's
a Bob Folsom
it's not so much of a highway barrier as it was. Now you have the park, and you would think that would bleed south. And
but then you go around that City Hall part, like the East Quarter, that never happened. Come all the way around to where City Hall is. That has been a bad area for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Well, and the public library was effectively a homeless camp until fairly recently.
And it still is bad when it's cold. I mean, I think the library should go away and be replaced by a neighborhood library. That's what there are. A lot of people live downtown, and they should rent some space, or maybe somebody give them some space in one of those buildings. They don't need to have a giant building like that. That's just not the right in my mind. And I think City Hall and it's a huge debate. I'm not a believer that it's an architectural marvel. I've spent I've spent a lot of time in that building for a non-employee.
It's weird.
Yeah, and
It's paid for.
It's what?
it is paid for.
It's paid for.
Oh yeah, well that's true.
Well, it's paid for, and
for
then
up to a point.
They
There's
got a lot
whole
of problems.
discussion about what it's going to cost to fix it.
Well, I had the Biz Now, DFW market kickoff, and I moderated the panel with Alan Shore and Rick Perdue and Ray Washburn.
Oh yeah.
And so this came up, and all three of them, they just think City Hall just really shouldn't exist the way it does, and like. They honestly think it should go away totally.
Well,
the only thing holding that
plan,
up
of course,
is
put the Mavericks
if
there.
it wasn't IM Pay, I don't think anybody would probably disagree with them. I think that's the
It's
only
about
thing.
his fourth best building downtown. I mean, it's not like we don't have the Meyerson, what I call the old Greyhound building, whatever it's called today. I don't know that City Hall should be downtown. I mean, there's no particular reason. It's not that easy a place to get to. And soon we won't have DART, or that. So what are your thoughts on DART?
We
talked about
probably
that recently.
imagine. So
They're similar to mine, probably.
Yeah, I'm not a
seems
fan.
like
I actually, in my capacity as elected official in Tarrant County, spent a lot of time on the public transit system there, in particular Tex Rail when it was developed. And so I was very deep in the numbers. And in that case, I believe it's a similar use case in Dallas County in the suburbs. It's just an incredible amount of money in debt to service a very small number of people, relatively speaking. And our federal environmental study on that project in Fort Worth, which was from downtown to Grapevine, literally said that it's not going to take a single car off the road. I mean, I can tell you the statistics. It's vehicle hours traveled per hour, vehicle miles traveled. In fact, it said it would increase traffic at signaled intersections. And it has. And there are very few people that ride it. And the same is true in DART. And the problem is that when you're a member city and in that case, by the way, it was sold as a transportation project, and it wasn't. It was a commercial development project. Every suburban town between downtown Fort Worth and Grapevine thought they're going to build a Mockingbird station.
Right.
Yeah.
And the great irony is Mockingbird Station's never been a good project. I mean, it's changed hands, gone back to lender before. I mean, and it's not a destination. It never has been.
Those TOD developments, none of them have ever.
Not here. They do work in other places.
In other places, but not here.
That's exactly right. And people Texans like their cars. People want to be able to drive to Argyle for some reason,
DART has, I think, the last time I looked at the numbers, it was around $6 billion of debt. Just debt service. And again, the ridership is just so low, relatively speaking, to the population. Now, are there use cases where, people, whether they're, retired people, elderly people, need transport? Yeah, but each one of those suburban communities that, is going to send it to their, by the way, I don't think it'll ever get there. It's a negotiation.
I think everybody needs to admit it that DART it's a total
the problem
waste.
is, like when Dave Leininger was here, the problem is it's unfair. What I think the lesson of DART was the non-member cities have benefited, Frisco and Arlington, and if you're in DART, you lose your penny. And I believe we need regional transit, but that means the whole region needs to pay for it, not 13 people carrying the load for everybody
so as opposed
else.
to being four old men who bitch, like if I had $100 billion and I had the czarship of North Texas and I had absolute control, like I think it would work. I think having something like entertainment and the Mavs and the Rangers and some other things to do in downtown with a vibrant rail system that went down there.
But that was a thesis in victory.
Yeah, my dad, when my dad...
It was the same thesis.
No, that's a great... And, as a retail guy, what I've always seen is retail never works around stadiums. Because, like, I did Alamo Drafthouse and movies, and nobody ever is going to go to a movie. Like, we would get these developers that would call us and be like, hey, we've got a concert venue here. We're going to put this sports arena here, and we want to put your movie theater right in between. And I'm like... Why would anyone want to go to a concert and then a movie, or a ball game and a movie? And by the way, if either one of those is going on, I'm not going to the movie because I'm not going to fight the traffic. So it's same thing with restaurants. You're going to get the bars, the sports bars. They're going to get a little bit of bump of sales when the game's on, but when it's not on, nobody's going to be going there. Mm-hmm. Especially with the Cowboys, like You only have 8 games a year.
The problem
Nobody
goes,
uses that area for retail.
Well, it's so hard to get it out of there too.
I mean, Wrigley's the same way. Wrigley, there's a couple bank branches near Wrigley that are the worst bank branches in their chains.
Yeah.
Because nobody does banking there. They use the ATMs to get some cash to go buy a hot dog, but that's it. Like,
not anymore.
it's just not good transactional retail being near a stadium.
Well, we missed this, and I don't know, this is sort of family lore. My dad, I guess, ran the sports commission before he was elected to council in 65, still the youngest person elected. But he believed that Dallas should have the Cowboys or the football teams. At one time we had 2 of them. They need to build a football stadium and a baseball stadium in Farmers Market. And he was one of the first people and represented the city of Dallas on getting the Rangers to come regionally here. Had we decided, and as great a mayor as J. Eric Johnson was, and he was not interested in sports, and he didn't care at all that the Cowboys left to go to Irving. So part of the problem is that we're trying to solve problems that happened a long time ago that you can't fix. I mean, that once they're gone, they are kind of gone. That's kind of part of the problem here. If the Mavericks leave, we shouldn't think that they're going to come
But I mean,
back.
it's a good argument to have, like you just said. We have not only the Mavericks, but we have the Stars. They're both high-frequency sports.
With somewhat different fan bases.
Yep. They play alternate times during the week. There's concerts in between that, and it hadn't done shit for Victory. It really hasn't. And
it's good office. I think the office stuff does fine down there, but I wouldn't office there because on game nights they got to be out of there.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yep. And so I don't know that, like, everybody always talks, like, I sometimes feel the pressure to not say the thing I'm the contrarian. Like, I don't know that a big-ass arena, especially a football one, because there's not enough games. There's not enough reasons. When there's not a game, it's just a massive parking lot.
Well, to your point, so I have a unique perspective because I've lived in both Fort Worth and Dallas for an extended period of time. And like Fort Worth is having a tremendous amount of success with their entertainment districts. Yeah. They don't have a professional sports team.
Yeah.
Well, they got TCU.
I agree. Dickey's Arena is one of my favorite places to go.
Well,
We go to a concert. We'll stay at the Bowie House. It's awesome.
No,
we can walk
that's
there.
what I'm saying, though. Like, actually, like one of the things I've observed in the last 2.5 years being here in Dallas from Fort Worth is like, Dallas used to be such a great live music scene.
Yeah.
And it's not even close to Fort Worth at this point. Fort Worth's kind of become like the new Austin in that respect. That's an area I think you can work on downtown.
Fort Worth also tries politically to work together better.
They do.
And Dallas is...
Don't get me started
Dallas is 14 mayors and one guy that runs the meeting. Not now, really. It's feudalism. And
it's structurally dysfunctional.
And people in Fort Worth, there's an ethos in Fort Worth around making the city better. The same way there's this magic of you might have gone to Iowa State or Duke or wherever it is, but you got purple in your closet. People have really rallied around TCU there in an amazing way that we lack.
And the interesting side of that, you're exactly right. Like the Dickies Arena has done so well with that entertainment because it's more of a niche that you're catering to things that you're not.
And it's not too big.
You're not a category.
It's a perfect concert.
It's a perfect concert.
It was made for sound.
But
I'm going to 2 this next month. Actually,
I'm actually guilty. I'm guilty of. I'm the
reason. A lot of different uses.
Yeah.
I'm the reason that like West 7th and down here south of downtown over in Deep Ellum, like I put in several bars down there in both of those, and they went from kind of a cool. Like it's the weird.
West 7th is definitely the exception to what I was.
Well, it's both, and it's both tenants are the same tenant, and it's like when you get too much of a critical mass of that element, like you need the mixed use to balance it. Mm-hmm. You need the office, you need the multifamily, you need a couple bars, more restaurants,
Well, it just becomes concentrated bars.
Not so much liquor forward, because then all of a sudden, like overnight, it flips. To not good.
I used to love to come to Deep Ellum, in
the
college.
80s.
I was going to say high school, but I don't think I can. But, I like bands, right? And so, like, it had that edgy feeling. You felt like you're doing something a little dangerous, but it wasn't like now.
No.
It
It's
is
just
dangerous.
Yeah.
Is Deep Ellum dangerous now?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, to the point that the city started.
I thought it had gotten better.
Regulating closing times and closing bars.
It did, and then you hit a tipping point of these bottle service bars and all this stuff that was bringing in all kinds of element that just turned it over.
But things like
overnight.
that, things like what we just talked about in Fort Worth, right? Those are opportunities for downtown Dallas. But, selfishly, maybe pivoting back to like what we were all about, there was a real purpose, behind it. And the real purpose behind it was to tell some of these stories that we knew were going on from a different point of view, because it's about improving Dallas.
Yeah.
And we believe that, addressing the crime problem more effectively is critical to that. We believe that solving homelessness, or at least addressing homelessness in a different way, in a productive, caring way, is a big part of that. And we believe improving schools is part of that. And the problem is, like, when you have a town that's, and I'm talking about the city of Dallas proper now, right? When you have a town that's 60-40 in favor of one political party or the other, and that's the same political party that's created a lot of these problems in the big cities, the other perspective doesn't often get even shared.
Well,
and there's value in hearing from everybody,
It'd be amazing to get back to a society that all wanted to reach the same goal, maybe different ways to get there, but wanted to work together to get to that point. And we're
It'd
just
be nice
such a
if Dallas
polarized.
County would elect judges that are the best judges, and not
that's a big problem too.
politicians.
Yeah, it's just we're polarized now, and maybe it's just it's just a time of the time. We're in a big demographic shift.
When did crime become a political issue?
Yeah.
Right? And like
exactly.
I was doing a WBAP remote in downtown Fort.
Fraud. When did fraud become a political issue?
No kidding.
These people are taking billions and billions of dollars away from everyone else, and you're supporting them. And we're the bigots for saying, wait, time out. They stole money. I don't care what color you are. If you steal money.
Well, the amazing thing is, if you could just fix the fraud problem and give that money to American citizens that need that help, you'd solve it. There'd be a it'd be a massive change.
Yeah,
that's true for all these governmental systems. If you eliminate the fraud, or find a way to eliminate most of the fraud, we would have a lot less problems economically.
100%.
I mean, we would have to have conversations about whether or not Social Security ever gets cut.
I'd love for them to figure out what percentage of our national debt is fraud.
It's a lot.
I guarantee. Well, the way these billions keep popping up in every one of these places they uncover, it's gonna those bees turn to teeth.
I'm still waiting on my ERC checks, and I met all the rules. I know I'm not playing the game right.
No,
I want to go back to something Dallas said though, because it was really important actually.
Oh, when that's a first on the show. Let's make sure we mark that.
Short clip on that one.
Yeah.
Mark it 4153. Dallas is smart.
No, because working around this thesis that like it should be about like improving the city, right? In those areas, which brings everybody up, right? Core services, let's call them. And so we're sitting in downtown having this, and the host is looking around. He's like, "Why is this so much different than downtown Dallas?" And it's because of what Dallas said. Because the city, the local government is just far less dysfunctional. Even if people of different political parties find a way to cooperate as much as they can, they try to focus on the problem that they're solving and not the personalities. In fact, when the personalities do start to get a lot out of hand, that's when they kind of get reeled back in a little bit. And then you have a lot of families in that town, wealthier families like the Basses, the Moncriefs, there's many of them, that really invest in the town.
Is their city structure also, do they have at-large seats?
No, they're like by districts, but they have it.
It's smaller.
It's
okay.
And there's a spirit about it that they work together, and they don't have as much like rivalry with the council members. I don't talk to this person. I mean, there's less jockeying. I'll tell a story I like to tell. The late Dr. Maxine Thornton Reese, when one time came in, this would have been in the early 2000s. I was the vice chair of the library board, and Rodney Schlosser, who later was on the DART board, was the chair at the time. And she came in, and there was a big controversy about what we're going to name a library. That's what she came, but she let the library board know, if you live in District 4, you can still check out a book in District 11. Now, everyone knows that in the whole city, but that is always stuck with me as a microcosm of the council members are so fixated on, I only care about this one side of the street. Or sometimes you'll have where you have a four-corner retail intersection and it's divided between 2 or 4 council members. They only care about their corner. We have to move out of my district. When people start saying my anything instead of we or our, there's a cultural problem.
You're starting that conversation off in the
and the other problem with the system that Dallas has today is what that does is because they're all pitted against each other, it just strengthens the bureaucry and the staff.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they don't always make the best decisions. And now you got the tail wagging the dog. Instead of the elected officials managing city personnel, they're kind of just reacting to what city
And
personnel.
most of them don't live in Dallas.
And we're doing a story on that right now, actually.
Well, then you had social media in the mix, and so they have a meeting. Maybe it went well. Then somebody goes out and posts some clip on their thing like, "Oh, I'm the city councilman for so far, and I did this, and then the other three, they're pissed off, and then it just seems like anytime they make progress, somebody says something stupid, and they're all mad at each other.
But Mayor Leopard acknowledged that to me in the context of a Dallas Hero Forum, and he was great about participating in all that. And because he was talking about how things were when he was mayor. I'm like, but Mayor, this is not your city council, and then things do not work the same way that particularly on the law enforcement side as they did back then. And it's the structure. I say you have a structural problem.
Anytime.
It doesn't even necessarily have to be a strong mayor versus strong city manager, but I do believe if you took half those seats, maybe got rid of half of the half, and then made the rest at large, it would definitely help.
That's my dad always said that he was first elected and they had at larges, and you need to have. And Irving has this. I think when I go see that you have people looking out for the district, but you also have people looking out for the benefit of.
I could agree more.
The city.
Yeah.
There were times in the past where we've had a zoning case maybe, and you had a forward-thinking, big-thinking person that will say, hey, I'm going to have to oppose this, but I've made sure I'm going to get defeated in my own district.
Yeah.
That's how ludicrous Dallas is that, look, the last time I can remember somebody taking a position on a really important regional issue was Bill Blades from Lake Highlands.
Yeah.
The great Bill Blades is the one that got the inland port done.
Yeah.
And now I want to write about this. You can't get any industrial or truck-based stuff done in southern Dallas because they don't want trucks.
Yeah,
well, that's like saying
it.
I know that's like saying at DFW. Oh, sorry, that's too many airplanes.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill was actually the one that was getting the apartments torn down.
He was. No,
we had some dilapidated. I mean, that
Bill
changed,
cared about the entire city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
But to
also
do
a
that
fine
and make these changes, then you have to get politicians to agree to relinquish power.
No,
to
you
change
need
something.
charter
We need fewer politicians.
Right,
and we
but to
need
pass
more
those
community.
laws,
Local politics should be about making the area better.
Oh, I agree.
You don't see this in high functioning suburbs like UP, HP, Frisco. Maybe they're less now, but we should have more people that are donating their time and they care about volunteering and doing their best instead of practicing politics. I mean,
but to get there, they have to cede their own power. They have to change those governments, which is a problem.
In
That's
Dallas,
like trying to get Congress to give themselves a pay cut.
You've got people. This is their most they've ever made at $60,000 holding office, and they hold it hard. They want that job, and they see that I'm going to take a lot of pictures and post them on social media rather than actually providing leadership and moving the
But
city forward.
to your question, you can change to the kind of system that Dallas described tomorrow or the next election cycle. That's what Dallas Hero is.
Yeah, but who has to do it? The
Somebody.
current council?
It's a big effort. You got to get a lot of volunteers to collect signatures. There's a lot of legal work that has to be done to make sure things are written in a way that they'll stand up. The city will fight you on certain things, but it's been proven it can be done. I mean, it was done.
And all the satisfaction studies every year say people think, I'm not getting value for my tax dollars. I don't think Dallas is a safe place. That's a problem.
It's a problem.
Yeah,
neither of those are political issues.
That's my
It shouldn't
point.
be.
That's
It
my
shouldn't
point.
be.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be.
Look, at the end of the day, people, doesn't matter what political party you are, what race you are, religion, gender, whatever. Like, you want to feel safe in your home, in your neighborhood, in your town. Like,
Shouldn't be a debate on that.
It's kind of that simple,
Maybe we should do some polls on what do we agree on.
Yeah.
And do you want to feel safe? Yes or no?
Well, that was Hero again. The establishment, media, and
Both
politicians
papers
in Dallas
should do a poll.
violently
See which paper does
violently opposed it. Violently opposed it.
No, I don't want to feel safe.
Yeah.
Danger.
We're out of time.
We could have gone all day.
We could have. Well, you heard it here. Dallas is a two-paper town now. This has been a great conversation. Chris, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is fantastic. I don't get to do this much.
Absolutely. Subscribe to the Dallas Express. Subscribe to the Dallas Morning News. There's enough readers for both. And we appreciate you being on, and we'll see you next time.